That's so cool. So that's what hippos like to do. There might be a female there. So they love to have an area that's nice and shallow that they can stand up in, and then they'll often have a steep drop off on the other side, so that if there is any danger of any threats or anything, they can drop down deep into the water and flee away. Now, there doesn't bank, and pointing their bottoms to the sky, and then sorry about that, everybody. It seems as though we're bouncing on and offline, but please bear with us this morning. So what I was just going to say is that they, in order to sort of show that they are territorial in the waters, that they reverse up onto an embankment, bottoms facing the sky, and then they'll defecate and swish their tails around. And then you might find another male hippo on the opposing banks doing exactly the same thing. Remember, animals don't want to engage in conflict, so if they can warn each other by either making sounds, where hippos sort of grunt and make gurgling noises, and that's a way to announce that this area is occupied, by defecating that way. Remember, a lot of their communication is also done underwater, so we don't necessarily hear what's going on all the time. And then when they come out onto land at night to feast for a couple of hours on grasses and fruits and on lovely things that they can find, the males also will mark their territories along the animal pathways up against shrubs, doing the same thing, defecating and swishing their tails, so that feces will go everywhere. You wouldn't want to be standing behind the bush that a hippo does that to. Oh, Seb, I'm going to roll forward. Do you mind if I do? Because a fish eagle is calling, and that's always a really awesome thing to see. Can you see it up there? Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Fish eagle sitting up in the tree. Let's see if it's going to call again. It's really amazing how they throw their heads back when they call. Come on. No, sitting quietly now, typical. But a beautiful African fish eagle perched up on the tree. Remember we had that awesome sighting, it was yesterday, hey Seb? Of a fish eagle eating the terrapin. Yesterday morning. Seb and I still want to go back towards that marula and see if that shell is up in the tree. So maybe we can do that on the way home at some point. It would be quite cool. Now, if it would fly, that would be perfect, because we'd have you in frame and it would be really majestic to watch you swoop over the dam and catch a fish. But of course, I'm living in a dream world if I think that I'm going to see that anytime soon. I mean, I was saying to Seb the other day, actually asked me if I've ever seen a fish eagle catch a fish, and I haven't. It's one of the things on my bucket list. And to be honest, I thought I had more chance of seeing it when I was working in Zambia, because there were about 300 million fish eagle pairs on the banks of the Zambezi, and just everywhere you looked there was fish eagles. It was really cool. And I thought we'd get them swooping on down. Saw them eating fish in trees, saw them eating fish on the ground, but never have I ever, sounds like I'm about to play a game, seen a fish eagle catch a fish. And that would just be so cool to see. I bet Brent has seen it. I'm sure he has. Tristan, I don't know. Maybe Tristan's seen it. I'll have to ask them as well. Please, come on, you only called once. Everybody needs to hear the sound of a fish eagle. Looking behind it, perhaps there's another one somewhere that it's a little bit on the distracted side. There we go. Yay! Go, fish eagle, go! It must have heard me. It said, okay, cool, I'm not going to call for you again. Oh, that's so cool. Flying basically towards the sun. Oh, that's so stunning. Look at them. They're so graceful. Barely beating its wings. And down it goes. Just flying past the lodge. Very cool. Must have another tree. Oh, wow. We were so lucky there. That was really nice. It did what I said it did after a bit of convincing. Anyways, let's go to Tristan and find out if he's ever seen a fish eagle catch a fish.
I have indeed, Taylor. I've seen a fish eagle catch a fish at that very dam you're sitting at. So at Chitwa Dam, I've seen it, I don't even know, maybe 7, 8, 9 times at Chitwa Dam. Used to see it very often when we used to sit at the No, I didn't get a photo, Taylor, because generally I was talking to guests on the deck, and that means that I didn't have my camera with me. I've seen it also on the Chobe River. I've seen it in the Kruger at Sunset Dam, as well as on the Sabi River. I've seen it also on the Sand River. So a few times. Not always successful, funny enough. Sometimes they actually miss, but the best place is the Chobe River. They do it almost daily there, so it's a good place to see it. I'm pretty sure Brent's seen it a number of times if he's been in the Delta. The Delta is also a good place to look for things like that and to be able to see fish eagles coming down. It really is an amazing thing. Now, funny enough, most of the photos of fish eagles coming down and grabbing fish and those kind of things are actually baited fish eagles. Now, when I say baited, what they do is they take a fish, and they used to use a float system in it, but obviously a float system is not good for the fish eagle. So now what they do is they take buoyant plants, so something like papyrus, and they shove it into the fish through the mouth, and the fish is obviously dead, it's not alive, and it then floats on the surface. And so you just basically, the photographers, this is how they do it, which I must be honest, I don't agree with, but anyway, they put it on the surface and then they just focus and frame to that point, and as the fish eagle then comes in, so they can swoop and grab it. So it's a bit of a setup, a lot of those photographs, and which is in a way a bit disappointing if you ask me. I think it would be really cool if you could get that photo without having any baited fish whatsoever. Good. Well, anyway, moving on from that quite quickly, let's see what else we can find. We're checking now this western side. I'm looking for any sign of Hukamuri coming this side. He's been a bit scarce of late, hasn't he? He hasn't really kind of been stamping his mark here as much as he was in the first few weeks of him coming here. He seems to be a little bit more kind of subdued. I wonder if maybe that fight with Anderson, he didn't just kind of get a bit of a fright and he's just toned himself down a little bit, which doesn't seem like it when you look at the video with Anderson, but he definitely hasn't been on Djuma nearly as much. Maybe there's another female or something that he's interested in, that he's busy kind of looking for. I'm very surprised, actually, funny enough, talking about all of this, as to how far Shadulu walked today. It's a long, long way from where we had her yesterday. She's gone way, 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 way north, and that's much further than I've ever seen her move. I've never seen her go into Buffelshoek and that far east as well, and so I'm interested just to see where she kind of pops out. She has to come back eventually. She has to go back west, and she's got to come back into this sort of section. So I think this afternoon would be a good time to go and check that northern boundary once again. Good. Now, thinking about leopards and females and how far they walk, let's go back across to Brent and see if he's found any tracks or if he has any idea of where Thandi is at the moment.
So we've checked the whole eastern boundary and a little bit along the northern boundary. There's no sign of Thandi coming back in to Djuma, so she probably has got a kill somewhere in Torchwood, has been there for a couple of days, so there's a good chance she's going to be heading back in the next day or two, but unfortunately no sign. So I'm going to take a little gamble now, and I'm going to hope Hosanna has come this way. So I'm going to go check Leadwood Road on my way back down towards the elephant carcass and see if anything has changed since we've been gone, and I'm hoping maybe something has seen those vultures dropping, or maybe caught a whiff of that elephant's stomach, and apart from, of course, the hyenas and vultures that are already there, and made their way towards that sighting. Now, I thought it was going to get hot again today, but there is a bit of cloud cover building in, so it is going to be cool. So it might take a day longer for the really big vultures. Big groups of vultures will arrive maybe tomorrow, hopefully. Well, you never know. There are so many of them around that they might spot those ones even on a cool day. Of course, there's lots of different African folklores. Purdy is asking, are there any stories that I know about what happens to the animals' souls? I'm trying to think. No, not that I know of. Not from this area in particular. I don't know of any, to be honest. Now, a lot of the African folklores are used as, similar to Aesop's fables, as moral stories and things like that. However, let's just have a look. So I just want to quickly look on the soft sand here, see if Asana wandered down Leadwood Road. When you don't find leopards, you don't see anything. I don't know why. Leadwood Road is the road to drive. But you must remember, a lot of those stories and stuff would have come from a very long time ago, and have been passed on from generation to generation. And I think worrying about animal souls was not very, very important, because surviving was. And you must remember that most of those stories come from pre-modern times, and worrying about what happened to an elephant when it died was not really big in the African cultures. When the elephant died, it was a party, because there was lots of free meat to be had, and people would chase off lions and hyenas off elephant carcasses and would have taken that meat, and an elephant meat dried and whatnot would provide food for a family or a village for an extended period. The San people, they did have a little bit more of a spiritual connection with animals, and did believe in some form of afterlife, etc. But for animals, but most of the Bantu people would have been solely focused on the meat and survival. Now, quite a few, or if you're a king or chief, you're often compared to an animal, either normally an elephant or a lion. Quite interestingly, in the Zulu culture, and one of the praise names for normally the mother of the king would have been the great elephant mother. So there is a bit of that there, as the king would have either sometimes been referred to as the big black male lion, but normally, in most cases, referred to as the great big elephant bull. Because the king of the jungle being a lion is a very European thing. It comes from European culture rather than from African culture. From African culture, the king out here is the elephant bull, and there's nothing that can really stand in an elephant bull's way. Alright, well, we're going to scoot back towards that elephant carcass. While we do that, let's see what Madam McCurdy's next move is.
I don't know yet. I have no idea. I'd like to maybe try and do a little bit of birding and see what we can find. But unfortunately, there wasn't as much bird life at Chitwa Dam as what there normally is. I mean, we normally see the greenback herons. We always see the Egyptian geese. So we can always try again a little bit later. Maybe everyone's off having an early breakfast somewhere, or perhaps they're on a cycle. I don't know, and they haven't made it back to the dam yet. So we're just going to bumble for now. And it's very quiet. I think we're the only one. Oh, it's our little friend, the waterbuck. Oh, he's got a friend. He's got lots of friends that don't want to be seen. And let's go around this way. It must be a little bachelor group of very, very young waterbuck. There we go. Hello. Did you not see us coming on behind? Oh, there's one right in front of us. I think this was the one that we actually saw, because it's come from the thicket. And there were about 3 or 4 of these waterbuck of this age. They're very young. They grow quickly, though. Look at those little horns coming out now. Shame. Have you been chased away from Mum? Do you have to live a life of solitary now? My goodness, they are smelly creatures. We're sitting downwind of them, so we get that very musky smell from that sebaceous gland. So it's the oil secretion that they use to cover their coats. Oh, they've gone and hiding away in the bushes. Typical. Where are you? And why don't you want to be seen? Oh, they look like troublemakers, eh? Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Oh, and a big one. There is a big one. Maybe he'll walk in this direction. I think he may. So he's probably keeping everybody in check. So it's very common for antelope species to form bachelor herds once they're too old to be around mom. They'll go off on their own and form these groups. And it's important because you don't really want to live by yourself, because then you're vulnerable to all sorts of predators. And there's one that looks slightly older. Maybe that one's closer towards sort of 2, 2.5. And I reckon those other ones were between 1 year and 2 years old. There's another one. Where did the big one go?
I think he laid down.
Because he just vanished, eh?
Yeah,
he was there.
He laid down.
He must have... That's so funny. He's gone, I'm done babysitting these youngsters. I'm going to take a nap. I think he is laying down there. We'll see. Or he's gone in the drainage. Do you see him? Oh, there's his horns. My goodness, he just disappeared. There we go, bottom left-hand corner. You can just sort of see him moving around. Look at that. So, not a massive waterbuck bull, but bigger than his fellow companions. I bet he's a little bit on the nervous side, going, oh my goodness, I'm the only one with any life experience here. Now I've got to look after these toddlers. And maybe he doesn't have it on his side, though, that if a leopard or a lion comes through, perhaps they'll be more enticed to take on one of the younger and inexperienced animals. They are such beautiful creatures, long shaggy coats. It always surprises me that they don't get really hot in the summer months, but then I suppose waterbuck do what they do best, and as their name suggests, will go down in the water. And we saw that a lot in the Mara. It was probably one of my favourite things, my top 10 things about the Mara was actually seeing waterbuck in an area that suited them. So those sort of marshlands. I mean, you'd barely ever see a waterbuck without a watermark that came up to where its sort of knees would be. Always there, keeping nice and cool, feeding on all the reeds and the sedges, all the nice grasses. A good lifestyle for them up there in the Mara. Here, they adapt slightly, even though they do naturally occur down here. And they obviously live in a different biome, I suppose. But they do go into Chitwa Dam. I've seen them there before. And any other pans and wallows and things like that, that's something that they will do. But there we go. Let's carry on, seeing as we can barely see him hiding away there. Must be something delicious that he's nibbling on at the moment, so I don't blame him for tucking on into breakfast. We will be doing that soon, I think. Well, next time we'll talk about, next time you come to me, in fact, we'll talk about what we think is going to be for breakfast, because yesterday I was correct in guessing that there were omelettes and cherry tomatoes and avo. Right, off you go. Brent is almost at the elephant carcass, and I doubt he'd want to eat breakfast next to it.
Well, we've made our way back towards the carcass. Still no sign of the hyenas. I think they're off sleeping, not too far off, probably sleeping off an elephant meat overload. There's still lots of vultures here. And these are all vultures that have been here since yesterday. And I don't think there are any new ones just yet. But as the day warms, and the vultures spot the carcass and actually spot other vultures, I think we could see a few more vultures here this evening. Hoppity hoppity hop. So far, just whitebacks, hoodeds, and the odd cape. Now you can see there's a lot of white on the carcass there. Daryl is asking, why do they defecate where they eat? Well, because they're vultures. Lions and hyenas also do the same. They're not too worried about hygiene. They have incredible immunities to most disease, and that's what makes them such an important creature in the ecosystem. As they'll clean up rotting carcasses to prevent the spread of disease in the African bush. That's why they're such an integral part of the ecosystem. They also just are absolutely fascinating birds. And I said, I am hoping that we get a few more species than we presently have on the carcass. White-headed, hopefully, and lappet-faced, but it would be very, very exciting if that Egyptian vulture did come from Kruger. Now, the distance isn't that bad for a vulture to cover. Cape vultures can actually cover a couple of 100 kilometers from their nesting sites in search of food. Well, there's no hyenas around here, but it seems like Tristan has found one.
Well, we've got one here. Well, we had one. It's disappeared completely now. So I'm trying to find where it's gone. It was right there. Can you see it anywhere, Liam? We had a hyena in the roads. I don't know where it went. Now, I apologize. Apparently, we've got glitchy issues, and so I do apologize about that, and we'll try and see if we can rectify them. But I don't know where this hyena went. It was right there, and then it disappeared. I have no idea. It must be one of the ones that's come from that elephant carcass. But I was interested in it because I wanted to see if it was one of the females. We literally just got a brief glimpse of it crossing the road, and I was hoping to see if it was one of the females. And the reason why is because if it is a female and it's coming from that elephant carcass, it might have been a really good opportunity to follow it to try and see if we can find a den site. So I think that's going to be a trick that we can try and maybe employ with these hyenas, is late in the drive, try and stay there. And if we start to see females departing, especially if there's any females lactating, then just try and follow them and see where they go. Maybe we can get led to a den site. Hopefully they'll also drag bits of elephant skin around and do dens, and so it's going to be a good opportunity for us to find the den in the next little bit with this elephant carcass being around. Right, now our hyena has disappeared. I don't know where it's gone. I can't see it anymore. I'm going to try and check some of the water points. It might be going towards Treehouse Dam for water. And so while I do that, let's send you back to Brent Leo Smith, who's apparently got a whole bunch of vultures hopping about on the carcass.
Well, I wonder if that hyena was one of the hyenas that was here earlier in the morning and that has now moved off to maybe go get a drink or a stashed food somewhere close by. Or I'm not exactly sure where Tristan is, but it's possible. As I say, I think quite a few of the hyenas, after stashing some elephant meat, would have then will now be relaxing in the shade somewhere, digesting all that meat, and as soon as that meat's digested, I'll probably move back towards this carcass, but when it's a bit cooler in the afternoon. Now, I know some of you find this as a very disturbing sight, but one must remember this happens regularly out here. It's uncommon for an elephant bull to kill another elephant, but well, uncommon but not rare. So it does happen, and there's been some incredible cases of it in the Greater Kruger and in the Kruger itself. One of the more spectacular ones is the skull is housed at the Elephant Museum at the Taba. There is the skull of an elephant that was killed by another elephant, and the actual piece of the tusk broke off inside its brain. So you've got this big hole in its skull as well as a piece of the tusk in the skull. So as I said, it does happen. It is just one of those things. That's the noises of the vultures. Always entertain me. Oh, well, that vulture plays king of the carcass. Taylor's got some dwarf mongoose.
We do. Back to their normal coloration. Remember those funny coloured ones that we saw in the Mara? They're almost like ginger, if you will. They were really quite cute. There's lots of them here. There's a big family. They've all come out and are foraging for the day. Some of them doing a little bit of grooming. I'm sure the sand is nice and warm. That's where I'd be sitting as well, because it's actually turned cold. I've had to put a scarf on all of a sudden. You'd think as the morning progresses you'd be taking off layers, no? We've added them on. But I think it's the breeze, Seb. There's a bit of a chill in the wind out here. That doesn't seem to be bothering the mongoose too much, though. But on high alert as they normally are, especially when you are a small little, even though they're little predators themselves, many things will want to eat them, like that juvenile African hawk eagle that was flying around within this area. Run. I wonder how fast dwarf mongoose could run, because they're quick when they want to be. I mean, they haven't got stamina. They're not going to be a long-distance runner, but definitely if they need to get away from something, they can move quite quickly. I wonder if anybody's ever tested their acceleration speed. Listen, to get a dwarf mongoose to cooperate would be quite difficult. Well, that looks like a young little one, a little pup. A couple of them around at the moment. No, it's like they don't seem too sure about us. Most of them have actually moved off of the road. Those ones are watching us with big beady eyes, making sure we don't come any closer. And they're having a little cuddle, where they'll probably all groom one another. Run. They're so cute. Another animal that you can just sit and watch for ages. And next time I find a big colony of them, I'm definitely going to get out the car again and sit on the floor and then wait patiently. The only problem is that sometimes it can take 20 minutes before they're brave enough to come out. Are they wrestling now? Not missing out on any of the fun. They are too. Playful hippos, playful dwarf mongoose. Oh, that's sweet.
It's the weather.
It's the weather, says Seb. Look at them, wrestling with one another. That is very nice to see. We have so much luck today with the playful animals. Now, as they twist and turn into a tumbleweed and bound around, Stanley, you've asked about... No, I don't remember. If they're quick. Yes, if the mongoose are quicker than the squirrels. I think it was quicker, yes. I have not seen them racing against one another. Oh, actually, no, I talk utter nonsense. You often find squirrels and dwarf mongoose and yellow red-billed hornbills out on the road all foraging with one another. I would say, in a race, I'm going to probably put my money on the squirrel, to be honest. I think so. Anyways, we'll sit with these guys for a little bit longer and send you to Tristan. He's found his hyena.
Well, Taylor, I reckon the mongoose might have an advantage on a straight line race. Squirrels are agile, but maybe not as quick over a long distance. But as you can see, we've managed to find our hyena again. It's the same hyena. It's not a big female that is lactating. So this hyena, I don't think, has even been to that carcass yet. It's still running and kind of going along, and it's heading straight towards where Brent is. I'm pretty sure in 15 minutes, if it keeps running the way it is, we're going to have a situation where this hyena will probably join Brent wherever he may be. So it's kind of going past us now and is going down Elephant Carcass, and is probably, which is pretty apt to name, I suppose, heading towards Elephant Carcass, and it's going to go towards Brent. So I suppose that was an apt road to take if you're a hyena on a way to an Elephant Carcass. Now, there was a whole bunch of other animals here, but the hyena running along chased everybody away. So there was warthogs, and I can still see a kudu, but the warthogs have definitely disappeared, and the kudus are now also moving off. It's a bit of a pity the hyenas came running past. Anyway, good. Well, we'll carry on, see what else we can find. While we do that, let's send you back to Taylor and see what her mongoose are up to and her playfulness that they are doing this morning, apparently.
We can't stop laughing. We cannot take our eyes off of these mongoose because they are having a wrestling match. And look, we've got We've got someone who's quite interested in the sighting too, not only us. It's the hornbill that I was telling you about. Chase it away. Oh. Has it just pretended to be dead?
Yes.
Oh, that was amazing. I can't. How do I? That is hands down the coolest. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I honestly did not know that mongoose did that. I can't keep it together. That is so great. Now they're just going to wrestle right next to the hornbill. Oh my goodness. Look at that. And these must be youngsters. They're very inquisitive by this bird. I don't think the adults would pay them too much attention. Now, I don't think the hornbill's also going to want to eat them. I can't believe that. I cannot believe what we just saw. Really, I'm flabbergasted. I'm now also crying because I'm laughing so. I'm going to do that from now on. Every time I get into trouble, I'm just going to lay on the floor, arms and legs in the air, and then just not say anything to anybody. That was amazing. Rebecca, please tell me you're all giggling away. I've never in my entire life ever seen a mongoose do that. We need to ask Tristan and Brent if they've ever had a dwarf mongoose run up to a yellow-billed hornbill and then pretend to die. We see things like that with snakes often. Oh no, that was really funny. Now, as we look at these funny animals play around, and I said to them, I was like, I don't think the hornbill's going to eat the mongoose. Nancy, you've just wondered about whether the mongoose would eat the bird. Well, typically mongoose do, and I think I've told you stories, terrifying stories about how the mongoose, yellow mongoose and slender mongoose used to eat my chickens. When I was growing up, they were a nightmare. And so typically some of the bigger species of mongoose will. Dwarf mongoose tend to feed on sort of insects, and they... It's doing it again. That is so cool. Anyways, and they tend to go for things like snakes, some of the bigger mongoose species too. So perhaps eggs, raiding nests, possibly, but not a fully grown hornbill like that. I highly doubt that they're going to go for something like that. Now, the reason why the hornbills and the mongoose have such a great relationship with one another is that as the mongoose are foraging in the grass, if they do miss something, those hornbills will be there to swoop on in and snatch up whatever insect has managed to make an escape. Well, it thought it could make an escape. I can't believe that. Death feigning. That's what snakes do. It's incredible. Like, I'll never forget the story of the, was it a Cape Cobra? I'm just trying to remember what snake it was now, down in the Eastern Cape, when I was training as a guide. Was it a Cape Cobra? It must have been. Anyways, one of our students, a foreign student, went out and she was at the compost heap throwing some animal skins, vegetable skins out on the heap, and there was the snake. I forget which snake it was. And she said she looked at it and she screamed, and she said it died. So she came running back inside and she told us the story about how she screamed and then she killed the snake with just by using her voice. And we all obviously had a giggle. We then learnt about reptiles the next day and death feigning and how they pretend when they do die. It's a defense mechanism because they're typically, I suppose the whole part of being able to catch something is they're coming back out again. We might have to try and get them. It's before they disappear, maybe they do it again. So by pretending that you've died, oh, there's a little chuggerer that's joined the party now too. Probably will do the same thing as the hornbills do, hoping for some of those insects. No more bird mongoose interaction. No, chuggerer not hanging around long enough. Sebastian, how do I always have the most bizarre sightings? I don't know what it is that attracts the weird things of nature. Oh, no. That was hysterical. I hope you enjoyed that as much as me. And I'm sorry that I laughed uncontrollably, but that was not what I was expecting to happen. We're going to see if we can catch up with the mongoose. A little jackal seems to have joined the feast at the elephant.
So as I said, I'm pretty sure that jackal managed to steal something earlier this morning and then went to eat it in relative comfort and safety away from the carcass. But now the jackal is back, scrapping with the vultures. Now it looks like it's going in to try get into the mouth. Probably not a good. Probably a very good plan. It could probably get to the tongue and get quite a bit of meat out of there without having to go into that area where the vultures are busy fighting, where the hyenas have opened up the carcass. See, he's getting right into the mouth there. As I said, probably trying to go for the tongue. I wonder if sorry guys, my game drive radio just got a bit loud and we just turned it down. Daisy is asking, is that a black-backed jackal? Indeed it is, Daisy. We do get two species of jackal here, the black-backed jackal and the side-striped jackal. You're less likely to see a side-striped jackal on a carcass like this. They tend to have a far more varied and omnivorous diet, whereas the black-backed jackals have a far more carnivorous diet. Oh, hyena back as well. I wonder if this is the one that Tristan had a little bit earlier. Why don't you guys let me know? Is it the same hyena? That's why I say it's we seem to have got back at just the right time. The jackal's back, a single hyena's back. Now let's see if the hyena is going to cause some trouble. See, the jackal spotted the hyena now. Is the hyena going to chase the jackal off? Now the jackals are of course much quicker than the hyenas. Now is the hyena going to chase all the vultures off next? The wall of vultures in front of the poor hyena. Now, we don't see jackal that often at the moment, and Conrad is asking, where do they hide? Well, they're around. So, it was about 2.5 years ago, there was an outbreak of rabies in this area, so the jackal population plummeted. A lot of them had to be destroyed or died from rabies. So their numbers are slowly building back up. But also at this time of the year when the grass is quite long, we don't see them nearly as often as well. Jackal didn't run off too far. I'm sure he's around there somewhere still. Can you see where he went? Yeah. There he is. Now, normally they can be quite territorial and they live in pairs, but on a carcass like this we might even see multiple pairs of jackal if there are numbers around. As I said, as that rabies outbreak a couple of years ago really took a big dent out of the jackal population in the Lowveld. It's quite a nervous hyena, checking around, not chasing off all the vultures. Maybe it doesn't want to disturb them, because if the vultures all flap off in a big fuss, it's likely to possibly attract other predators. Now we've noticed there's a constant fighting between the vultures. Cheeky is asking about the pecking order that in one. Literally, it is a pecking order. They'll peck each other. There we go, just like that. So yes, there is a pecking order based on size. So with the vulture species we currently have here, Cape vulture are top of the pecking order, followed by whiteback, and then lastly the little hoodeds. But if the lappet-faced arrive, the pecking order will change. Lappet-faced will become 1, Cape 2, whiteback 3, hooded 4. And also if the white-headed vultures come in, they sort of sit around a similar area to the Cape vulture in terms of the pecking order. Well, you don't see too many dead vultures out here. Daryl's asking, would a vulture eat another vulture? I think it would. I'm not sure. I've never seen it happen before. I've seen hyenas eat a dead vulture, but I've never seen a vulture eating a dead vulture. But they are opportunistic scavengers, so I think if they were the first on the scene, they probably would. A very tolerant hyena. I say it's going to be very interesting this evening to see what's around. If there are a lot more hyenas, whether the lions, the Styx Pride, or the Vokers, or whatnot, notice these vultures dropping down and make their way here. And that hyena, even though it's not chasing the vultures, it is dominating the main opening, and you can't, from the looks of things, peck, peck, peck. There's not a lot of vulture feeding activity at the moment, while that hyena is sort of in prime spot. Okay, well, hopefully some more stuff rolls in, but at the moment, Taylor's got a small sounder of swine.
Oh, goodness, how was that alliteration? Well done. Yes, we do have some warthogs feasting on some grass seeds. We've also got, we can't see them at the moment, but there are a couple of yellow-billed hornbills and some more dwarf mongoose around, so who knows what could happen next, what exciting things will appear in front of you. I am still giggling about that mongoose sighting. I honestly cannot get over it. Billy, you sound very upset this morning. Even though you're only 5 years old, you've said, where have all the giraffe go? Billy, I also want to know where all the giraffe have gone, because I have not seen one in a very long time. I actually can't even remember the last time I saw a giraffe. And you know what, Billy? It's absolutely ridiculous, hey? Unbelievable. You've come to watch and see all these amazing animals on safari, and then where are the giraffe? Not here. We'll look for them, though, Billy. I'll tell you if I see any tracks. Let's go see if we can find these other mongoose. Sorry, Seb, I'm going up a bit closer, because they're also moving around in the grass. Billy, perhaps those giraffe are just eating leaves somewhere else. They found some juicier leaves in other places. Mongoose are in here. Where are you? This is not as friendly as the other lot. Perhaps these are adults and don't want to entertain us. Should we make that annoying sound that all presenters make, including myself, when we want to call them out? Well, then that's all I'm doing, because I know it must drive Sebastian crazy, hearing that high-pitched noise. No, they don't want to play, hey, Seb? That's rude. Rude mongoose. I've been spoiled now. Now I feel like, how am I ever going to have a better mongoose sighting than the one I just had? That's hands down the best dwarf mongoose sighting of my entire life. And I actually sent Tristan a video of it, because I don't think anybody realizes what had gone on. And I don't think many people have seen that, in fact. So I sent it to him. He had a good chuckle. But I can't wait to watch it properly, though, on screen. Oh, no, that is amazing. I just love the reassurance, looking back up and going, did you see me pretend to die? Oh, no? Okay, I'll do it again. No problem. Oh, it didn't stop. Go roll, car roll. It's not a great view, unfortunately. Warthogs have just slipped off onto an animal pathway, and now there's a shrub in the way. Taylor. This is how you should not park on a safari. But I know if I start my car, they're going to race off into the distance. And this female seems to be quite relaxed. And there's 3 of them. Obviously, we saw them earlier. And I think they might be making their way towards the lodge. Because they haven't run away from us like warthogs normally do, it makes me think that they're used to the presence of cars and as well as people. And that would explain that they're lodge pigs. And go and munch on all the nice short green grass, although they don't need to worry about going to find food at the moment. They're, of course, getting their fill out here from all the greenery. And it's only going to get better and better now that we had that sort of bouts of rain. But you guys better be careful being so relaxed. Make sure you watch your bacon, otherwise Osana could come in and snap one of you up. A little bit wary, though. So it's just looks like 2 adults, and then the one youngster, which we can't see at the moment, hidden away. Very, very busy. I think if I was a warthog, I'd probably feed out in the open grassland only, and in short grass. I'd be very specific about where I was, because here there's so many shrubs. That a leopard could be waiting behind, or a young lion. Let's see those stopping, looking. It's also tough for them because they are so short, so when that grass is very tall, they can't really see what's on the other side of it. And that's when you typically see the warthogs sticking their heads right up as high as they can go, trying to see over the top of it. There we go. Here's the little one. Only a couple of months old. I miss seeing the little sausages running around. I was lucky that we got to see them so many in the Mara, and they really were precious. Yeah, they are. They're actually going straight towards the lodge. Oh, wonderful. Right. Well, let's carry on. Let's see what we can do. I suppose we've got to start heading home at some point as well, hey? Warthogs, enjoy breakfast. See you a little bit later. Okay. Well, we'll keep bumbling. Like I said, we're still going to try and do a little bit of birding here and there. Well, who knows what else may hop out of the bushes. It seems as though everybody has left the elephant carcass. Surely the vultures are still around.
Well, we're still here, and you can see where the jackal was feeding. One of the vultures is now tucking in there, or 2 of them are trying to. The hyenas still dominating the main opening around the stomach that was opened by the hyenas overnight, but more vultures, as you can see, are arriving. Slowly but surely incoming, Dave. Landing gear is out. Here they come. Ooh, that one's going to land in the tree. That one's going to land on the ground. So that type of movement can be seen by animals like lions from a long way off, and leopard and other hyenas. So it's going to be very interesting to see what else is going to arrive around this carcass over the next few days. Squawk! Almost like they're complaining at the hyena. Go away! Go away! You're ruining our day! Hi. Cindy's wondering, will the scavengers eat the skin? In a lot of cases, yes. However, a lot of this elephant skin will be too thick even for the tough jaws of the spotted hyena. So in a lot of cases, scavengers will eat skin of the different animals, but in this case, I think the skin is probably just a bit too tough. They will eat the softer bits of skin that are around the stomach area, the groin, and the anus, but I think the majority of that skin is too tough. Now, you'll often find dried bits of elephant skin even years after an elephant has died, so that skin becomes very coarse. strangely enough, certain animals, like brine hyenas, will actually feed off very old skin. I've seen them feed off elephant skin before, but of lots of different things. So it is possible that certain animals will definitely take advantage of that skin, but it is, once it's dry and whatnot, there's very little nutritional value. So only a few certain species are able to get nutrients out of a dried elephant skin. See, now as the sun comes out and the day heats up, more and more vultures will be taking off from their evening roosts and starting to sort of get going, start catching those thermals, flying high, and it shouldn't take too long for them to find this carcass. Okay, so just find. Oh, how's that, Dave? It's quite bright. Okay, so there's the dam, Dam, Vulture Dam, and if we go down south to Twin Dams is directly in front of us. We are about there, so just to the west of Twin Dams, just to the west of that little road in the block here. So quite close to the southern boundary. There's Gowrie Main running along there, so just probably 150, 200 meters to the north of Gowrie Main and 100 meters to the west of Twin Dams. And more vultures coming in. Lots just dropping from the sky. And that's what the big cats will look for. Just vultures dropping from high and then just coming down. Oh, lots of them coming in now. So as it gets warmer, we're going to get more and more vultures. There we go. Here comes one undercarriage out. Landing gear. Well, that's pretty successful landing. Sometimes you can watch vultures land. It can be absolutely hilarious. And they make a duff up of their landing, and they sort of bundle into each other or bundle into the carcass or nearly fall out of a tree. There you go, next one coming in. Well, these guys have got are pretty good at the landing so far. Especially if it's a vulture that's just spotted the carcass for a first time. They can come in very hot. There's another one coming in, Dave. Just dropping in at a rate of knots, literally, because they are coming in at knots. Just having a quick look up into the sky, see if I can see any more. Now we've watched the vultures feeding off the area where the elephant's right eye was, and Lara Moore is asking, what are they tugging at in that area? Well, I think mostly now it's just pieces of sinew. Most of the eye would have been one of the first things gone, so they're just tugging at all the meat around the eye, around there, and most of that's quite sinuous. As you can see, they struggle at pulling at it, and they're getting very little reward for quite a lot of effort. That is an excellent question from Lauren. Will we be allowed to keep the elephant skull for the tent? I'm afraid I can't answer you, Lauren. I'm not sure. So what normally happens if the Sabi Sands come to remove the tusks, often they'll remove the whole head. It is very difficult to cut out elephant tusks. What will often happen is the head will be completely removed. The skull will be buried in an undisclosed location and left for a couple of months, and then it will be dug out and the tusks will be removed. So I don't know is the answer to your question. Hopefully, but it'll be a while before you want to be anywhere near that elephant skull, because you got to remember the brains are busy liquefying inside that elephant skull, and brains are particularly smelly. As I said, there's quite a lot of vultures around. Mrs. Zero is asking for a head count. There's more arriving every minute. I'd say there were between 70 and 100 when I arrived this morning, probably pushing 120, 130 now, as the next sort of load are about to drop down. You can just see them all around. I think by this evening there could be close on 200, maybe even a few more. Okay, well, we're going to watch the vultures dropping in, and who knows, maybe something else will brush in shortly. But till then, let's send you back across to Tristan, who's checking around Gallagher Pan.
No, Brent, I'm not at Gallagher Pan. I'm at Gowrie Pan, or Gowrie Dam, at the little nest cam, and we've got a beautiful brown-headed parrot that's sitting out in the open for us, and these guys are normally quite hard to get on camera, so it's nice that this one is sitting. I think they've actually got a nest somewhere here, because you hear them here regularly flying back and forth, and most times I come past, I see them kind of talking and moving from this area and kind of flying away. So I wonder if there's not a nest somewhere in this section, but they're not very, very pretty. They've got this kind of brown head and brown wings, and so when they fly, they don't look nearly as kind of colorful as they actually are. They've got these beautiful, rich greens on the chest, and then this bright little yellow patch on their bum as they fly away. So they're very cool animals. I like little brown-headed parrots, and they've got that typical parrot call, and you hear them kind of flying about all over the place. This one is just doing a spot of maintenance at the moment, so it's just cleaning itself up, making sure that everything is nice and neat for the day ahead. They've got a busy day of finding food, and so might as well get into good condition before you do that. There's a number of other birds that make use of this grove of nests, trees to nest in. So there's a hornbill nest that's been in there. I've also seen rollers nesting in here since I've been at Djuma, and there's the red-billed buffalo weavers that are busy talking in the top right as well. They're not nesting in this particular tree. They're actually nesting in the moss close to Vulture camp, but they come this way, and this is where they'll start to harvest branches. They like knob thorns, buffalo thorns, anything that's got a spine on it. A buffalo weaver likes to grab, and they then take big branches back to the nest that they then weave into the nest itself. So a pretty nasty kind of nest that they build. It's amazing actually how strong those nests are, because we have to sometimes remove them during the sort of winter months when there's no chicks to be able to access some of the equipment. You find that they've woven them so tightly that it takes hours and hours and hours to get those nests free of the mast and to be able to then move around. It's an incredible engineering feat that these birds go through. It's absolutely incredible. Good, I think we'll try and see what else we can find. I came to Gowrie Dam just on the off chance that maybe, just maybe, there was a herd of ellies or something coming down to have a little late morning drink, but it seems as though it's all quiet on this front. In fact, there's not even any impalas around, which is quite strange. Normally we have quite a few impalas around this area in the sort of morning period. Also, no wildebeest around, no zebra around. It's pretty strange that we haven't seen too much. Now, Taylor McCurdy has been on a serious run of guessing breakfast menus over the course of the last few days, and so let's go across to Taylor McCurdy so she can tell us all what we're going to have for breakfast, because she's been spot on the last few times.
Well, I have an inkling this morning, and Seb and I, we're not on the same sort of... For a change, we're not thinking of the same thing, because typically whenever Sebastian's thinking, I'm always like, I was just thinking that, or vice versa. Anyways, so Seb thinks we're going to have boiled eggs this morning. I'm going to stop here, actually. We're going to have boiled eggs and bacon, because there's always bacon with breakfast. It's bizarre. It's amazing. It's not a bad thing. And also then chakalaka beans, which are like spicy beans with chopped up peppers, and they're really quite delicious. Good. I think I think there's going to be some fruit involved today. Definitely some slices of pineapple, perhaps some kiwi, maybe. I don't know if we're coming to food order day, so the fruit might be low, so it might even be a scrambled egg. I feel like we haven't had sausages for a while, and there's always sausages and bacon, and I'm thinking mushrooms as well, and maybe some fried tomato. So that's what I'm going to go with this morning. But I'll post a picture later. I'll post a picture. I'm being told that that's a weird combination. I don't think so. Anyways, so now that I've composed myself and not laughing hysterically anymore, it was really, really, really cool. And I hope you all realize that what we saw is not something very common with regards to those mongoose. I mean, death feigning, thanatosis, apparent death, there's many different names. I always learned about thanatosis with reptiles and spiders and things like that, but I'm pretty sure you can use that word for all the different animals out there. And I'm uncertain of what mammal species actually do it. We were chatting, possums do it. Possums definitely do it. Seb said maybe some weasels. I don't know. I've never actually seen a weasel in real life. We don't get... Well, yeah, no, we've never seen one out here. I don't think we get weasels down in South Africa. Anyways, so I'm trying to figure out what other mammal species do it. And that was really quite cool to see. And the fact that it was obviously pretending, like it was trying to get a reaction from that hornbill. It just goes to show that the relationships between these animals are far more than what we really understand. How do you explain something like that? That a young mongoose pup walked straight up to that hornbill, and the hornbill was showing some interest in them, but obviously trying to get insects that were being chased out as they were running through the grass, and then went, "What are you going to do if I do this?" Oh, maybe you didn't see. Let me do it again. Okay, this way. Oh, still not getting a reaction. And then carried on. Amazing. Absolutely incredible. And that's why I always say, if I could have one superpower, I'd want to be able to speak to animals. Because imagine if I really knew what was going on there. But quite an interesting thing. I'm definitely going to show a couple of my other friends the part where I wasn't laughing hysterically, though. No, of course, because they'll probably laugh at me laughing. And see what they think. Maybe somebody else has got a different opinion. But off you go, back to Brent to close the show. I wonder what other creatures may come and feast on that elephant during the day.
Well, it's still the same culprits here at the elephant carcass, the single hyena, the jackal darting around, we've just lost sight of it now, and the 3 vulture species. Now, there's that old wives' tale that vultures will circle an animal that's impeding, or about to die. Cat Bragg is wondering, why do they circle? Well, that is how they utilize the warm thermals. So the air goes up. Well, have you got some? There we go. So there we go. You've got them circling there. So what happens is they're looking for hot air that's rising, and they'll ride those thermals right up to thousands of feet. They can fly at the same height as a jumbo jet, and then they can have a very good view from way up there, and they'll just use the winds up there. So they use the thermals to get up, because if they had to flap to get that high, it would be near impossible for them to reach the heights they do. So that's why vultures circle. But don't worry, we will be back at this carcass come this evening to see what has changed, whether we're going to get lions, leopards, hyenas. We're going to have to wait and see. So from all of us at Safari Live, toodaloo, goodbye, and see you in a few short hours.